The supplier has just received a PPAP request. Why don't we go ahead and take a closer look to see exactly what this is all about right now. So I have a notification in the PPAP. I see this new PPAP request that is in progress. Documents uploaded 0 out of 12, completion 0%, and I'm going to open it. When I open it, I have the same view that I had. The customer act, only that instead of having a waiver, I have this situation, which is that there are some documents that are specifically the PSV, the DIFMIA, the PFMEA, the control plan, and the dimensional results that I can fill out directly online. And then other documents such as material certificate, MSA, SPC, capability study, run a rate, appearance approval report, and checking aid documentation that I can upload documents that I have locally. So let's keep in mind that the online compilation, I'll start by saying it's a form, let's say light, a light form of what are the characteristics of the quality engineer, therefore of the third module. Obviously, we cannot give to the supplier a system as complete as these, which we will see in the third module, but we have lighter versions. So what are we going to see? We are going to see, for example, the PSW. We open it online. We can either upload a document that we already have with our letterhead, etc., or go and fill it out, as I was saying, online in the PSW. I go to the summary document, the one that then becomes the cover of our PPAP, where I simply go to say, the pre-filled fields are part number, PPAP object, revision, description, PPAP level. I go to provide the sample size, that is, how many sample pieces. I am sending to my customer, so in this case we can do 5. And I have to put the reason for the PPAP. So if it's a new part, if it's an engineering change, a tool transfer, supplier change, corrective action, or annual revalidation. So in this case, I will put new part because I am a new supplier, a new drawing revision just released. So we will do a PPAP on the new part. And here I have material and manufacturing. So here I have some material specifications. So insert the material specifications here. At this moment, we should see the drawing where the material here was an aluminum, AC 46,000. So we have to put, and finally we have aluminum. AC 46,000 material supplier. I can easily include the specific supplier of my raw aluminum as well as the exact facility where I or the supplier physically manufacture and build this part. So for the documentation, we can definitely list the manufacturing details. Let's go ahead and put down the site location as Barca, which covers the production aspect quite clearly. Poland, because I localized this part in Poland. And the sample weight, this is a fairly large sample. Let's say that 5 sample pieces also take up a significant amount of space. Let's say indicatively that it weighs 8 kilograms. Down here, I see the list of all the documents that have been uploaded and the status of all the PPAP documents. At this moment, obviously, everything is not attached. Everything is pending. After that, I will go and write here. The CSRs, therefore customer-specific requirements. For this part, if there are any, I will confirm that everything I have written above is everything we have, all the documents that we have sent are compliant, and then we will have the Kohaki manager sign, this is the PSW. At this moment, I will leave it like this. It will be the last document we send once everything is filled out. Let's go back, and I would like to move on to the second document, which is the design FMEA. So the design FMEA, I can do, as I was saying, I have an upload, and I can upload a document that I already have at home, that I have already produced in Excel, I have produced in any way, or use the online form. Online form, where I simply go to input, is not like in our third module, where everything is connected to each other. So with the process flow, with the FMEA, with the control plan. They are all connected with the various parts of my plant. This, as I was saying, is a very light version. Consequently, in the FMEA, we simply go to add failure mode. We go to put which part, so we can put, when we look at the machining process, we need to consider the specific phase involved. Specifically, we are analyzing the machining failure mode, which essentially helps us understand exactly how the design could potentially fail during production. Wrong? Dimension. A potential cause could be the machine parameters currently in use, etc., etc. Here I go to put specific dimension. Now the new drawing at hand. Let's put hole 17 millimeters engineering requirements. Now we arrive at hole 17, a challenging par 4 that demands precision of the tee to avoid the deep bunkers lining the fairway. 17 plus or minus. 0.1 verification method, go, no go. I have completed my risk assessment and it's clear there is a loss of function. Given that, I think we can safely put 6. Beyond simply observing what occurs, the process relies on the detection phase. This involves a thorough visual check performed by the operator, or alternatively, a precise measurement conducted using a caliper to ensure accuracy. The RPN exceeds 144. Consequently, a corrective action is necessary, and so here we put increase. Checking frequency. Move. Target date becomes, I don't know, I will put 30/08/96. Okay, I can add another failure mode, a second failure mode, I can add infinite failure modes, as many as are necessary. So up here, let's see how many failure modes have been inserted, how many are high critical that require attention, so how many have an RPN greater than 100. And at this moment, the status is request editable. It has not been submitted yet. Up here, I can delete the failure. Mode, the failure mode, and what is the risk and what is the RPN. I can see it immediately. Once the DFMEA is filled out, I can click submit. So it says, do you really want to submit the DFMEA? Be careful, because once you do it, it will become read only. We will see later that if the customer rejects it, it will obviously become editable again, and so we can confirm DFMEA submission submitted. And so we have successfully uploaded the document. Now the status shows as submitted, the document is uploaded, and I can see it right here. Yes, I can clearly see the exact document that I have just uploaded to the system. I can do a recall submission. I can even say, no, wait, I made a mistake, so I need to change some things. I can recall the submission, and we continue like this with all the various documents. For example, the process FMEA, for example, I can do the upload, and I can upload a document that I have on my computer, or I can also do it here, online form, and I go to. Let's say that the PFMEA visually is practically exactly like the DFMEA. Filling out this document is more or less the same process as usual, which they can then go ahead and submit. Obviously, right now it is completely blank, so if I were to submit it as it stands, the customer would almost certainly reject it in this specific case. We really need to make sure all the details are filled in properly for the control plan. Here too, I can do an online form. I can go and fill it out online. I can upload one that is already present. Here I have a control that comes from the PFMEA. The system tells me, attention, because in the PFMEA you had put a control with RPN 252, and indeed I had put we have an RPN with a risk RPN score of 252. Now that we have identified this, I can navigate over to my control plan section and click the add button, and therefore I can successfully add it to the list. Or I can ignore it and move on. What I can do is what is a very light version compared to the one we have. In the third module, process step, we put machining again, we put process function, machining, we put characteristic diameter, the usual one. Always the usual hole, let's say. Parameters. Specification 17 more or less, 01. We are taking a measurement from a go gauge. Based on that, we determine if we have a go or a no-go. Sample size 5. We measure 5 pieces, shift 5 pieces per shift. And we don't have a control chart for this. For this part, a reaction plan and escalate team leader. It will then be the team leader who contacts quality. And whatever else, obviously they can delete the entry here. Can I go and do add row? And to add another control, as we see down here, there is a guide that explains what the various items are. Sometimes it might not be clear what a process characteristic is for this product characteristics rather than a process function, etc., etc. Once I have entered all the controls within my control plan, I will have said that all the documents that I can do a safe draft to not finish them, but pick them up again. Pick them up later, obviously, I click submit. Even here, it will tell me that the control plan becomes read only once submitted. And let's do the submission. We have already obtained the dimensional result, so it is available here online as well. However, since it is not explicitly provided in this specific view, we have it stored within our module instead, and we will take a closer look at it later on. In the second module, we have the incoming inspection, where we can go and balloon the drawing to locate the dimensions that need to be checked directly on the drawing. This function is not provided here, as it is a light function for suppliers. The supplier will have to download the drawing, balloon it manually, and upload it back, ballooned. We are thinking about the implementation also here of ballooning the drawing online. We'll see if this is a feature that could be useful, and we will include it here. That said, I'll upload the drawing. Let's say my drawing has been ballooned. Is detailed drawing. Itself